A while ago, I made a video on fluffy, low-carb hamburger buns, and it's been my top viewed video. So today, we're going to make a little bit different version of that recipe. I'm going to teach you how to make seasoned, flavored, low-carb hamburger buns. Plain hamburger buns are great, but it's always better when you can find ways to put more flavor in your bread. And so today, I'm going to teach you how to do just that. And if you want a printable version of this, then check out my website at janetsdeliciouslowcarbkitchen.com. You can find a printable version of this recipe as well as other goodies for you. Also, if you're new to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Also, hit the little notification bell. That way you can be notified every time I put out a new video. And while you do that, let's get cooking. Preheat your oven to 400 degrees. Line 2 large baking sheets with parchment paper. Cut some foil into 8 6x6 squares. Mold the foil squares around the bottom of a bowl or a large measuring cup. This will form a holder for the buns. The reason why I cook the buns in a holder rather than just straight on the lined baking sheet is because the bottom of these buns tends to brown before the top does. So by baking them in a holder, it helps them not to brown as quick. So if you choose not to use the holder, that's up to you, but just keep in mind that if you don't use the holder, the bottom of your bun will get brown pretty quick. In a medium mixing bowl, whisk together 1 cup almond flour, 1 cup oat flour, 1 cup vital wheat gluten, 1 teaspoon salt, 2 tablespoons instant yeast. Make sure it is instant yeast. There is a difference in the different types of yeast and how they react, so make sure you get instant yeast. 1 teaspoon onion powder, and 1 teaspoon garlic powder. The garlic powder and the onion powder are optional. I personally like a garlicky and onion flavor in my hamburger buns. Not everybody likes that, so if you just want a plain tasting hamburger bun, then you don't have to add the garlic powder or the onion powder. But if you're like me and like that little flavor to it, then go ahead and add that in. Whisk these all together until they're fully combined. This recipe does call for gluten. If you chose to make this without gluten, you would basically have flat buns. They would not be fluffy, and you would not have the same soft texture. So you really can't do this recipe gluten-free. You need that gluten to be able to get that nice fluffy texture of the hamburger buns. In a large mixer bowl, combine 1 cup of warm water. Make sure it is warm. 1 large room temperature egg, make sure it is room temperature. 3 tablespoons of oil of your choice. I use olive oil, but it's up to you which type you want to use. And 3 tablespoons of honey. Add the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients and beat on low for 15 seconds or until no dry ingredients are left in the bowl. Scrape down the sides of the bowl and change the paddle attachment on your standing mixer out for a dough hook attachment. If you don't have a dough hook attachment, it's okay. You can stick with just the paddle attachment. It'll still work out fine. The dough attachment just helps make the dough a little bit more fluffy, a little bit more stretchy, so the end result is in a more fluffy hamburger bun. But if you don't have the dough attachment, it's okay. The paddle attachment will work fine. So after you change it out to the dough attachment, the dough hook attachment, beat on medium for 3 minutes until the dough is nice and elastic. Lightly spray each of the foil holders that we made with a little bit of cooking spray. Do not use a lot. Scoop the dough out 1/4 cup at a time and place it in the center of each foil holder. Spray your hands with cooking spray and roll each portion into a ball and place it back into the center of the foil holder. Cover the baking sheets with sprayed plastic wrap and place the covered baking sheets in a warm, draft-free area. Let the dough rise for 20 minutes. One thing you want to make sure is that all of your ingredients that you use, make sure they are room temperature. When you're using yeast in your dough, it's very, very, very important that your dough is the right temperature. If it's too hot, the yeast won't rise properly. If it's too cold, it won't rise properly. Everything needs to be room temperature. The water needs to be warm. The eggs need to be room temperature. Everything needs to be room temperature. Very, very key, or your dough will not rise properly. So make sure room temperature. So after you've covered it and let it rise for 20 minutes, uncover it and let it bake for 10 minutes or until lightly golden on top. Once it's done baking, let the buns cool in the pan for about 3 minutes, then transfer them to a wire rack to cool completely. Use them immediately or place them in an airtight container and freeze until you're ready to use them. Now when you're ready to use these, if you're like me and you're wanting that fluffy hamburger, real hamburger texture, then use one bun for the top and one bun for the bottom. That way you can have the same texture and the same feel as a regular hamburger bun. If you want, you can trim off the bottom brown part of the hamburger bun. When you trim this off, it'll give it more of the traditional hamburger bun feel, that soft texture on the bottom of a hamburger bun that people are used to having. You don't have to trim this part off if you don't want to, but if you want more of the traditional hamburger bun feel, then trim that bottom part off. If you do choose to trim it, then make sure you go slowly, carefully, and make sure you only thinly slice the brown part off. You don't want to slice half your bun off. So very slowly, very carefully, very thinly if you choose to trim the brown part off. A quick and easy way to use these buns is to make quick mexi sandwiches. All you need to do is to cook and season 1.5 pounds of ground turkey or ground beef, chop up some onions, add a can of pinto or black beans drained, add 1 cup of corn, 1 can of tomato sauce, 1 can of diced tomatoes. Stir those all together to fully combine them. Then season them with seasoned salt, seasoned pepper, onion powder, and garlic powder, and chili powder to your taste. If you want a little bit of an extra tang, you can add in a couple teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. Just stir it together, bring it to a low boil, cover it, and reduce the heat to low, then simmer it for about 20 minutes. Serve it over the buns with a little cheese, sour cream, salsa, or your other favorite taco toppings. And voila, you have quick mexi sandwiches with low-carb buns. Eat and enjoy. And that's our recipe of the day. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like and subscribe button. Leave me a comment if you want to. Let me know if there's any recipes that you'd like to learn how to make without the use of white flour and white sugar. And as always, keep cooking.